Hey, I'm Luke. Welcome back to Leicester City Down Under. Thank you for tuning in. Going to bring in Chris and Brad. How are we, guys? Well, can you hear me, Chris? You're muted,
I'm
mate.
here. I'm winding you up. Good afternoon. How you
Oh,
doing?
Jesus Christ. Don't do that to me. The panic was real.
Oh, I'm in one of those moods today.
Mate, I'm proper sore. We just lost our semi-final game in five-a-side.
You
Didn't
didn't send me a
Leicester.
picture of any injuries this week, so I presume that you got through it all right.
Oh, popped my shoulder out last Friday, but I think I'm all right now. It's all good.
Well,
Falling
don't
apart,
send
mate.
me any pictures. I'm not a real doctor.
Mate, thank you for coming on, Chris, and having the
No,
same conversation twice. Anyone else wants to see a better version of what you're about to watch, check out LTID TV.
3 times because I'm doing another one tonight on the Chelsea channel.
Oh, okay. I might just change my channel to LTID Rejects. Mate, while Brad's away for a minute, it's funny how things change, before, after the Bournemouth game even, but like even before then, I was like, you know what, when we're comfortably top of the league, I was like, let's give this FA Cup a proper run, like fuck it. Like, like I know probably being a bit arrogant and stuff like that, celebrating too early but as you and we've all said plenty of times, after the season we've had, we were enjoying it. It was nice. So, but now we are where we are. With all things considered and where we are, mate, what are your thoughts on the importance of this game? Because I ask this because obviously promotion is absolute paramount.
Mm.
But in saying that, a lot of the players look leggy, but there's an international break. So I don't want to get into it too early, but I don't expect to see as many youngsters playing. I think it's going to be a blend of the two. We'll touch on it later. But for you, mate, what are your thoughts? Do you want to go strong? How important is this to you?
I actually, and if you like Leicester and you follow the BBC Leicester City channel, bbc.co.uk/Leicester City, I did an extra blog for them. It's usually on a Tuesday. I did an extra one yesterday on the FA Cup. And one of the things they asked me to write about is what sort of team we should put out. And I think we 100%. The main aim this season is to get promotion again. That is without a shadow of a doubt. Everything else pales by insignificance. But it's funny, isn't it? When you're in a cup competition, and it suddenly goes from the word round in the tie to the word final. You're going from fifth round to quarter final. Suddenly, it takes on a whole new meaning. And I've said we've got to go strong. We haven't got a game for 2 weeks after because of the international break. So let's go for it. And yes, after the Bournemouth game, I was there, as you know, and we played really, really well with what was ostensibly a second string. I was saying that second string is the team that he should be putting out in the league because they hadn't lost. They played better than the so-called first string. But having thought about it and looked at it, he's got to go strong. 100%. He's got to. As I say, it's a quarter final. Get through this. We're at Wembley, and there'll be plenty of tickets available because of the size of the stadium. Everybody will be able to go. I know it's only a semi, but let's face it, we all enjoy a good semi. Go strong, or go home. That said, on the other side, flip side, should we lose it, we've gone out to a very big Premier League club. And I know they're mid-table and they are beatable, but they are still a big club. It's got a lot of expensive players in there. So if we go out, it's not the end of the world. So it's a bit of a win-win for us.
I'm with you, mate. Big time. That's a very good way to put it. Brad, what are your thoughts? I don't know if you heard the question, but I'll quickly repeat it. I was saying to Chris, look, we were all feeling super confident, December, January, maybe we celebrated too soon. But back then, or even after the Bournemouth game, I was like, let's send it. You remember, I think I ranted a little bit a few episodes ago. I was real excited. Um, I've just seen your comment, Chris. Brad, basically in a nutshell, how important is this FA Cup game to you, mate? Like, do you want to go strong? Do you not want to go strong because of where we are in the season right now? But also at the same time, as we're saying, there's an international break, so they're still going to get that rest that they obviously are sorely needed because players are looking leggy.
In terms of a fan's perspective, I think it's an absolute free hit. I think Chris knows I did a show on a Chelsea channel, Ankit, last night, and I said Chelsea are in a lose-lose situation, and Leicester have gotten everything to gain and nothing to lose, sort of thing, because the league position in terms of the table is great, but in terms of our current form, it's a little bit disappointing. 3 wins, 1 draw, and a loss. 3 losses, 1 win, and a draw. I get it right in the end. So we're not in the comfortable position we was all talking about at the end of Bournemouth, because we were a little bit like, oh, keep this lead, go into Chelsea, go gun ho, and I think they should. I watched. Albrighton was getting interviewed by Owen Palmer, the BBC / representative for LCFC, that Chris has had to speak to. He's a minor celebrity now. He did an interview with Albrighton, and I know you, yes, you. And Albrighton at the end.
Minor, sir, how dare you?
Well, you know, major comes later on, mate. When you're a multi-millionaire, then I can call you that. But until then, just a minor celebrity. But anyway, Albrighton was talking about his time at Leicester, and at the end of it, he said he'd like to end it with some silverware, and then cheekily said, maybe 2. You know, a little tongue-in-cheek the way he said it, but it gets you thinking that the club are taking it seriously. You might as well, like Chris said, 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, may if we go out, may if we go out, may if we go out, sort of was the attitude. You know, it's like, if we go out, we go out. If we win, we win, brilliant. Now it's at that stage, it's like, well, you're 180 minutes away potentially, well, barring extra time, away from an FA Cup final. So why not? And I think you can feel that. I think it's perfectly timed for Leicester. It's a little bit of break from the league situation in terms of the weekend's fixtures. Where we could be at the end of it is out of our hands. That all's dependent on literally one game. Which still wouldn't be the end of the world, because we have that game in hand and we'll be able to make that up down the line. So why not? We've got 2 weeks off after the international break. It's a good chance. I personally see it as a win-win for Leicester. If we put in a good performance, we get knocked out. It was Chelsea. We're supposed to get knocked out. Premier League versus Championship. If we win, it's pressure on Chelsea. We all get to take the piss out for Fana and Chilwell. And happy days, we're into the semi-finals of the FA Cup. So it's win-win. Just as the one thing I am just fearful of is if we fall apart and lose it 3-4, 5-0. That's the only thing I don't want to see from us on Sunday.
Can I just actually add there? I'm sorry for the self-promotion here, Luke. I hope you forgive me. But if you do check out the Chelsea Leicester preview from yesterday.
I've been waiting to get him back.
Got him. Oh, boom! Chris is raging.
15-all. You owed me that from the start. Well, when you were off having a shit, Brad, I'd got Luke convinced his sound had gone. But no, if you watch it, I do discuss being at both, and I do actually use Brad's favourite ex-Leicester player, Wesley Fofana, and I do have a bit of a rant because he hasn't played all season, and good, I'm pleased, I'm happy, and if he doesn't play ever again in his whole life, I would be extremely happy. You know, talk about play. They've got 8 players out injured at the moment, and Fofana is one of them. And hello, Nate, by the way.
Hello, Nate. So I was just about to pull that up, Nate. Nate, how are you, mate? Good morning to you in the good old US of A. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for tuning in. I was going to bring that up later, but may as well now. Injury list, and he who must not be named, Fofana. For guys who haven't seen, please again watch the preview on Chris's channel, because it was absolutely hilarious. Because I thought I was bad telling people to take the knee. He went off and won. He did me proud. What did he do? He said he hopes that Fofana has, quote, an incurable death. So yeah,
No, I don't think I said that. Did I?
you
Did I go
definitely
that
said
far?
you definitely
I
said
think you
that.
meant
So
incurable injury, maybe.
No,
not death.
Right.
no.
He said
Remembering
death.
now, I did mean death. Yes.
Oh, you meant death.
I said it and I meant it.
Yes.
I stand by it.
Said it with his chest.
I mean, I'm sorry. The guy is. I won't
Actually,
swear. It's not my channel.
He is
but
scum. He is
yeah,
scum.
he
Like,
is basically. And I wish everything that Brad's dad could bring down on him a swarm of locusts and starvation and whatever you. I just hate the guy so much.
I mean, I thought I was bad because ever since he left, I don't call him that. I either refer to him as Flop Farner because it's hilarious to melt down Chelsea fans over and ever since he signed. I also think it's hilarious that they nearly pulled the plug on the deal, sent him to America for a better analysis, and they went, "Yeah, he's good to go." How's that working out for you, Chelsea? And I also refer to him as the French Voldemort.
You do. Quite right
He's
as
an
well.
absolute snake. And to be fair, we should have taken the warning from Claude Puel. Should have maybe taken the warning from him from Saint Etienne because he did the same to them when we were interested in him, didn't he, Chris? He took all their socials off. He's already started doing it at Chelsea because of how the fans are being. So I can't wait for him to get his dream move to Azerbaijan or wherever it is in the world that's got.
Well, he's got 7 years to be paid for doing nothing at Chelsea yet, still, hasn't he?
Well, lucky him. Lucky him. Maybe some Saudi Arabia team will come and make his dream come true.
No, look, while we're on the subject of injuries, I've got a few of them written down here, and a few I was too nervous to try and pronounce the name, so I'm just going to have an attempt at the important ones. But Chilwell, bothered. Colwell's a doubt. In Cuckoo, Fofana, just mentioned, Reece James, but I believe he's been out for a little bit, so they have got injuries. But the main point that I want to bring up is this. Granted, we are in a bit of a blip. But if let's say this, like with what Enzo's done, and if you look at when he does play the youngsters, like Cover, for instance, or that Reiki, I forgot how to pronounce his name, when we got the young lad we got from Aston Villa, everyone that he's bought that's slotted straight into the team, or even the youngsters, because he's been doing the youth, like, are there for a reason and to fit into his system. Now, I think, as we all know, Chelsea have spent a lot of money on their club. But we've also seen a lot of managers come in and out over the last 5 years, and each manager has their own, player that want to fit into their own system. So you've got a bunch of players that could possibly, I would like to hear this from a Chelsea's perspective, not gelling, as well as different players, like I said, for different systems. But at the same time, if they put a bunch of youth in, how is it going to work? I don't know. They've made it this far, but the thing is with Chelsea is, I think they're going to want this more. I don't think they're going to challenge for European football this season. And I would not be surprised if they actually went strong in this. So they might not even put their youth out. How do you feel about that, Brad? How strong do you think Chelsea is going to go?
I think a mixture. Pochettino is very notorious for believing in youth. He's done it. He did it at Tottenham. He did it at Southampton. Sorry, Liverpool B. He did it. It wasn't Southampton. They're now referred to as Liverpool's B side. He's integrated youth. If you look at his track record, there is players throughout his time as a club manager that have been classed as superstars of the Premier League or just in general football, and they all started under his tenure. Virgil van Dijk, being classed as the world's best Premier League footballer is more than a stretch. I could think of 2 or 3 that are well ahead of him in terms of quality. But again, nonetheless, came from like the Southampton Celtic sort of thing. But he was young then, nurtured by Pochettino. Actually played against Leicester in their title-winning season at Southampton. And now look at him. He was a £70 million, or was it 90 million, or whatever they paid for him. Anyway, paid a lot of money for him. And he is a very good defender, and he will go down as one of the better defenders in the Premier League. He'll be in that talk of the bracket. Bit dramatic that they're saying he's the best ever. But anyway, he's got a good knowledge of that. And you look at the teams and the players that play week in, week out, and notable goal scorers. Is it Cole Palmer? You got that Nicholas who's playing for them. And he's trying to get the best out of Mudryk, who I believe is a youngster as well. He also has, and you named 3 or 4 of them, established mid to early 20s in there, which isn't classed as youngsters anymore. They used to be back in the 90s, didn't they, Chris? We used to have 23-year-olds coming through and saying they were youngsters still. Not the same in this era of football, but still key players missing from that squad that I'm sure he'd like to be playing if they could actually stand up and not fall apart like a sticky tape. So I actually do see a mixture. I feel the pressure is more on Chelsea than us. I don't think they'll go at it any more than Leicester. And, I don't think Leicester will slack and not want to get out of the round. But I do think he will be worried that if he goes too weak, if you will, for lack of a better word, he'll be feeling that if Leicester go in at halftime 1-0 up, that Stamford Bridge will go from will be a cauldron of hate than a cauldron of cheering him on. So he has to be more careful than Enzo in the lineup he picks, because if it goes wrong, it's going to be disaster at Stamford Bridge. And I'm all for it, by the way. I'm all for it. Go and get your team sheet wrong, Poch, and have players on there that don't give a rat's ass about it. But I don't think it'll be a fully strong 11 just because of the way Poch is as a manager.
Interesting take, Brad. And Chris, like, going on to that, what do you think of, like, so we mentioned earlier, like, if we lose to Chelsea, it was, a win-win situation, or we're supposed to lose, they're a big club. But I ask you this, because of the blip that we're in, does it add to the bad smell around the club? And, like, does it affect the lads' confidence? Like, that's why, again, I'll get into it later, but I'm expecting rotations, but not as heavy as before. I'm expecting it to be kind of half-half, and I'll explain why am I starting 11. But
I said at the start, I don't expect any rotation. If Enzo doesn't go full gung-ho for this, then he's not the manager maybe that Leicester need. You've got to look at, yes, he's got priorities, but he's also got to work out that he's got 2 weeks off after this game. And so, the players are all going to have a rest. The pressure is on Chelsea. They're at home. Look, this is all Chelsea can win this season. They lost the Carabao Cup. You could argue undeservedly so, but they lost that. They're not going to get into any form of Europe in the league by the look of it. This is all that they have got left. So they have got to go for it. So if Poch does not put out, and injuries aside, if he does not put out his strongest team, he's probably not the manager that Chelsea want, because that has got to be his priority, because there's nothing else. They're just mid-table, 12th last season, they're 11th currently this season. They've got absolutely nothing at all to play with. And the interesting thing is that Chelsea have lost the last, I think, is it 6 FA Cup finals that they've been in or something like that? They've failed to win.
Last 6 cup finals in general.
Yeah, so they might not just want to get there just so they can't. But look, for Leicester, this, all right, it would have been nice to have got Coventry, simply because they're a team possibly we could play. Craig made this point yesterday. It was a very, very good point, and I've got to say I totally agree with him. I'd sooner be playing Chelsea now than Leeds. Because, like I say, if we go out against Chelsea, we've gone out to a very expensive Premier League club, one of the big 6. So there'd be no shame. It's like going out to the Carabao Cup to Liverpool. Absolutely no shame in that whatsoever. And if we do go out, even if we get beat 5-6-0, I wouldn't expect that unless we do put a weakened team out. But if we do, so it's still a Premier League team, and it's not. When we played Bournemouth, and I said I disagreed with Enzo, I judged that team, even though it wasn't the full strength team. I judged that team on the performance against a potential Premier League rival next season. The likes of Chelsea and the likes of Liverpool, if we get promoted, you probably wouldn't go to their place and expect to get anything. Let's be honest with you. Not the Leicester that we've got now, maybe the Leicester of a few years ago. So this is a game. Brad, did you say free hit on this one? And it possibly is, to be honest with you. I jokingly said, because we always seem to get Chelsea and Man City in the quarters and the semis. But this is not the Chelsea of old. They are rebuilding. Not one of the, none of the players that are in there are really Poch signings. but he's kind of stuck with the team that he's got because they're on such long contracts. The Chelsea fans not overly confident that they will. He thinks they will, but he thinks it'll be a tight game. They are finding the net of recent, as we saw against Newcastle midweek, but they're also conceding a hell of a lot. So, it could be a high scoring game. But yeah, we've got to go full strength. I'm sorry. Why? Reiki, whatever it's pronounced, why? I mean, yes, up to this level. And Arsenal used to do this all the time. They used to play youth in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup until they got to about this stage, and then the big guns would come out. And you'll see from my team selection later, that's what I expect him to do.
I expect the same. We'll get into it soon. So they have picked up a little bit more form. They've just beaten Newcastle, as you can see. Yeah,
everybody is at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, that's a whole other story. But I think that they just don't have the depth, and they did really well last season, Newcastle, and then I think put all their eggs in the Championship. And anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But they beat Newcastle, drew with Brentford, beat Leeds, lost to Liverpool in the final, and drew with Man City, which is not a bad result. So, and then before that they beat Palace. So, they
were lucky to beat Leeds. I don't know if you saw that game. They got the winner in something like in the 88th minute or something like that. Leeds really gave them, and I know, hello to all the Leeds fans that are watching this. Are we still living rent free in your head, by the way, Leeds fans? I just they gave Chelsea a really good. I mean, Chelsea were reasonably in control, but they were 2-2. They could have been looking at going out.
Yeah, I mean, extra time was definitely on the cards, and it should have been the least that Leeds deserved. Didn't it? And honestly, I watched the game as well, Chris. And it's funny, we're saying this about the, we've probably talked about this up until the Bournemouth game, and even then, Chris, we were probably still saying it then. I've just checked the fixtures just to refresh myself on who's playing who. And it won't go this way, but let's just say, for instance, Man City beat Newcastle and Liverpool beat Manchester United. If we can beat Chelsea, that would give us Wolves or Coventry in the semi-finals. I'm sort of now even more, but now I know I'm tricking myself into upset and heartbreak, but knowing there's a potential that we could get Wolves, so I more than fancy us to beat, although Gary O'Neill's doing a fantastic job at Wolves.
He is. Yes.
But I'd be taking on either me dad's team Wolves or my mum's team Coventry in the cup semi-final. I'm kind of now. Come on, let's have Chelsea. Let's beat them. That
would be the perfect scenario, wouldn't it? Liverpool to me, probably Manchester City in the semis, although it will probably be fixed for them to meet in the final. But they can meet in the semis, and one of them knock each other out. We're at Wembley in the FA Cup. If obviously we win our games, then let's not presume that we're going to do that. But suddenly, like you say. And you know all about this, Brad. It's like the Red Sea and Moses. Suddenly, it's starting to open up in front of you.
Yeah. Well, you look.
There's the arches at the end.
Yeah. Well, you look at our run to when we last got to an FA Cup final. Chelsea fans high, we won it. We played Brighton in the quarterfinals. We played Southampton in the semi-finals. I can't remember who we played before that, but it weren't. I don't remember an opposition thinking again. Oh no, this is where we go out. And if we can. I mean, even if Newcastle would cause an upset, they've not been brilliant this season under Eddie Howe, not to their own expectations. I'd fancy Newcastle if they could overturn Man City. So there's only real one opposition. Two oppositions I'd be scared of in the semi-final. That'd obviously be typical get Man City or Liverpool at Anfield. Liverpool probably at.
Actually, can you imagine a Pep Enzo final?
Oh, bring it on. I'm up for it. Sign me up for it, Chris. Where do I sign? How much is it? Collection in action.
Yeah, I know.
There we go. Got it on.
Can I just say, if we do get through to the final, I ain't doing a watch along because I'm going to be there.
Oh, I'm hoping to be there, mate. I'll be
flying there, mate.
I'll be doing a vlog. I'll be doing a vlog over it all, Chris. I'll have my phone and a charger.
Yeah.
I got a selfie stick, mate. I'm getting ready.
You were on the halfway line and spider cams.
We'll do a vlog behind Enemy Lions. Sit there with the Chelsea fans. You can get me one of the fans of the chin if we go down and go. Whoosh. You know what would be the best if we got Coventry in the final and we just saw Vestergaard just put the most debilitating crunching tackle on O'Hare and just ended his career and just stuck him on the sidelines of Voldemort. Cop that.
Yeah. As long as we're 5-0 up and he takes a red card,
Excuse
then
me.
fine.
Excuse me, you just had to go for what I was saying about Voldemort, and you want to end what's his name's career?
I didn't wish death upon him. You said incurable death, and then you backed it up.
Well,
You doubled
no.
down.
In my defense,
That's what he was
in my
asking.
defense,
I'm telling the
any death
BBC, bro.
any death is incurable.
He's got a point. Any death is incurable.
So technically, I wasn't wishing. All I was wishing on him was death. You know what I mean?
No big deal.
Did you, eh?
Just for the lols, it's okay.
Chris is chucking curse. Don't upset Chris, he'll curse you. All right, guys, the moment we've been waiting for. Now, I've told you both to pick a starting 11 that you would want.
Yes.
I've gone for a blend of both. I've gone for what I kind of expect Enzo to do. There's one player that I think you guys are going to rinse me for in the position I've put him in for, but I'll explain it. So
here we are. Put Hamadson up front, isn't he? Here we go.
Now
everything's upside down in Australia, of course. So they thought he was putting him in goal.
Could you imagine Vards with the gloves on though?
Mate, I've just realised I've missed something in this because I've redone it. Okay, this is botched. Okay, we're going. Okay, so as you can see, there's no goalkeeper.
Well, this could be an easy game for Chelsea.
God, we're not going to win, are we? Bloody hell, mate! You know, I mean, talk about giving Chelsea.
No. I figured it out, Chris. He's flying me over to London so I can go in goal for the game.
Okay. So for everyone watching, I've gone for Stolarczyk. I would not be surprised if it's Mads now that it's got finals attached to it, but I think he's kind of earned it, to be fair. So he's kept a lot of clean sheets in the run out. So Stolarczyk in goal. Now Ben Nelson, I'm expecting him to start on the right hand side. And I'm expecting Connor Cody to slot into that middle position. I think that he's the leadership we're going to need for the youths on each side of him. I think JJ's been off it. I'm expecting Dor to be on that left-hand side. Chowdhury, unfortunately, is going to have to fill into that position for Ricky P. I know everyone keeps shouting about cover and that one pass he done to Vardy, but other than that, we can't just live off that. Like Chowdhury still, whether you like him on the ball or not, in that inverted wing-back position is not reliable on the ball, but he's a lot more experienced than cover. Now, the one player here, like when I talked about a blend of heavy rotations or not, Reiki, I'm sorry I'm massacring that name. He did a role, but this is Chelsea.
Rafferty, so don't worry about it.
Okay, well, I'm expecting Winks because I think for that role it's quite difficult. And if we are going to get a break, I know he's been playing a lot of minutes, Winks, but this is just one. I think we need him on the pitch for this game. Now moving on to our high pressing eights. Now this is where I made a change. I've now got no goalkeeper because I forgot. I originally had Eunice in for Wilfred and Ndidi. Now Wilfred and Ndidi needs to get minutes into his legs, and I know he's come back from injury and he's not at full fitness. But again, we're going to have 2 weeks off, so I think this is a great opportunity to get some more minutes into him, and then possibly see Eunice subbed on, around the 60, 70 mark in his place. Now this is the one I thought you guys would rinse me for. Kelechi Iheanacho. Now, I think Keenan Dewsbury definitely needs a rest. And he's a great link-up player. And we've seen him, he drops deep, as we already know. And he does work well as a front two. We don't play a front two, but I really think that how he links up play and he drops deep, I really could see this position working. Maybe you guys think it's silly, maybe not, but this is the one player that I picked where I'd want to see him try it out. And he loves an FA Cup game, Kelechi Iheanacho. I've gone for Wanya Marcel on the left wing. Mavididi, again, looks real leggy. Bit of a drop-off in form. So we're going to see Marcel, I would anticipate, in that left wing. Albrighton on the right. And I was back and forth about this one with whether we go, Kelechi up front, possibly Daka, because we haven't seen him too much, or even Cannon. But I think this is a big game, and Vardy's always up for a big game. And I think him and Kel together, I would love to see that, but I could be way off it. What are your thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Brad.
I noticed how he avoided Chris, because all Chris has done for your lineup is no. Look, first of all, answers on a postcard, folks. Can Luke's keeperless team beat Chelsea?
It's an interesting formation. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah. The thing is, I like the fact that you've got Kelechi in there, not just because of my love affair with Kelechi, but because you'll understand when you've got my team up when it comes to my team going round. Kelechi goes hand in hand with the FA Cup. It's like Vardy with a Red Bull. If there's an FA Cup game around, Kelechi's scoring in it more times than not. He's got a phenomenal record. Sometimes I do feel like he scored more goals for us in the FA Cup than in the league, but then I remember that one season where he hit like 19 goals or something. The rest of the team, look, I understand where you're coming from, Enzo Brain on putting Nelson in. I just don't think he's going to get crucified by Chelsea, no matter what lineup they put up. We saw that against QPR. Like Chris said, played a team that beat QPR. We put him in against QPR and he got absolutely sold down a river, granted, but he was awful. That's why he got taken off. He just couldn't handle that step up of level, which is fine. And an FA Cup game is a different kettle of fish. I like the sentiment, but I don't see either Wanya, Marcel and Albrighton. And the reason I don't is purely because Chelsea are going to have a premeditated mindset, like most teams are doing, that Mavadidi's going to play. He can cut inside. He can go down the left. We're going to need two men marking him. If they're going to preempt that and have two men marking the left side, Marcel just hasn't got that ability like Mavadidi to just switch it and go through the middle to cut through him. He is a winger pure through and through. And he's young. I'm not discrediting him for him. I'm not saying he couldn't play that position. I'm just saying I think if anyone's going to break down that left side and really get at Chelsea, I'm much preferring to see Mavadidi than Marcel. Here to be proven wrong if he does get picked and started, but that's just my feeling on the two players as an individual. And Albrighton, you're chucking on if the tie is dead. You're chucking on if... Well, I say that, actually, the only reason you would chuck Albrighton on is if we're 1-0 down and we're desperately trying to get a ball into the box because we're committing men into that 16-yard area and we're trying to get balls in to get us level because we know what he can do. He can put it on a sixpence, that Albrighton, but I wouldn't start with him personally. But that aside, after I've tore you to shreds, apparently, after saying it was all right, it's not an overall bad lineup. For probably anybody else other than Chelsea, in my opinion.
Yep, I think you're 100% right, mate. I tried to go with a blend of what I thought half what Enzo would do and things that I would like to see. Chris, now's your chance to squat all over it.
Well, I've just put my thoughts on the team in the chat.
Say it with your chest, mate.
No, I don't agree with most of that, to be honest with you. I think that team would probably get pounded by Chelsea. You need your best team out there, and you've gone with some weird decisions, to be honest with you. Doyle, who's proved nothing this season. Nelson, who's played a few games, and you're putting him in the biggest game of the season so far. And Kel's out of position. No, I mean, everybody know we're all managers and we all pick the team, and that's your team, and I respect you for it. But I probably agree. I mean, I'd have a goalkeeper in there, I've got to say.
Oh yeah, I've got that one personally.
Yeah, so let's be honest. But there's probably, I think, 4 players I've got in my team from that, and that probably says it all. But all I'll say is, look, I respect your opinion, but respectfully disagree.
No, mate, it's kind of what
as you will with mine. In fairness,
to be fair, I wouldn't, because I repeat both your sentiments. I do want to go strong, and I know I told you pre-match to go what you want. I've done a bit of both, and I
tells us one thing, Luke, and then changes the rules for himself.
No,
you
can't get stuff these days, can you?
No,
it's him hiring us and stuff.
For the Aussies, you can't trust them, can you?
Backwards, upside down.
I'll go with you, Chris, first, because you feel the strongest about your starting 11 in a second. The one thing I just want to quickly say before I take this off is, yeah, Kell is out of position, but he does drop really deep, and Enzo does play people out of position. So to stick up for myself.
So
what's that?
Whoever's his striker, they drop deep.
And that's all forward.
Who else?
So you're going to end up with both Kells and Vardy dropping deep and nobody up front to run on for the ball.
I think I'm just going to give the channel away. Quickly put this comment up here. Oswin, how are you, mate? I wouldn't call this a big game. We need every valuable player for the league, and I reckon we'll do what we did at Bournemouth and play a complete B-C side. I can see a bit of both, mate.
Quarter final of the FA Cup, not a big game.
To be fair to him, he's probably thinking with the predicament we're in, impossibility of playoffs. I understand,
what if we throw this away, right? And then we end up in the playoffs and losing in the playoffs. We'll have thrown away the chance to possibly get into Europe and win a
especially if then we go and watch the semi-final draw and Chelsea get Coventry at home. You know, you'd be like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
because you fancy that. I get where he's coming from, though. I understand the concentrating. I do get where he's coming from, but I wouldn't want to just throw this under the bus. Certainly not.
Yeah, well, can you guys not kill my vibe on a Friday night? Jesus Christ, you stress me out. That's a horrible thing to think of. I'm just kidding. Here we go, Chris. Talk us through it, mate.
Okay, now you two can rip mine apart to your will. There we go.
Luke, I've got this sorted. You ready?
Let the man explain himself.
Stolchik's done nothing wrong. Stolchak, whatever you want to call him, but I don't care what that guy's just said. This is the biggest game of the season so far. It's an FA Cup bloody quarter final. How big do you want it? You've got to play your strongest team. You've got to go for it. They've had a week off, the players, so all this looking leggy, looking knackered. No, I'm sorry. Vardy scored 2 goals when he hadn't trained all week. You know, a couple of cans of Red Bull and he's out there scoring 2 goals. Thank you very much. So these players that have had a week, and there will have been a couple of days off, I am sure, in there. Enzo will have known what he's been doing. So they've had a week without having 2 games. So it's been a bit of a rest. And they've got 2 weeks, actually, now. So they've got a week before and 2 weeks post to recover from it. So you start with Hermansen, for me, and simply because he is our number 1 goalkeeper. Cody hasn't impressed me at all. And I think you've got to put the experienced Justin in, who's played against Chelsea before. Vestergaard, love him or hate him, he is our best defender at the moment, and he can put a pass on a sixpence. So you have to start him, and not just because he's my love child. I think, you know, when you look at the most improved players, he's up there. Nelson, to me, and even Faz hasn't played well recently. And not that he's not looked leggy, he's just played us in. Well, he's cost us a few goals recently. Cody, he's got that experience. And if Vestergaard, who does like to roam forward sometimes and go on a bit of a run, Cody can just come in there and fill in that gap for if need to. He's got that experience. You know, he's got that old head on his shoulders, like, calm down, guys, we've got this. I've actually gone for Brighton in that right back coming into the centre role. This wasn't my idea. This was actually Craig's idea. And I actually listened to what he was saying, and I thought, because he went for this for the last game, and I thought, wow, actually, that does make a bit of sense. He has played that role before, and again, it's the experience, and he can ping a pass or two. Dewsbury Hall, Winks, look, our best midfielders, they've got to be playing. You cannot leave either of them out. Mavididi, again, look, you know, again, something Craig said, you know, within the first 10 minutes whether he's going to be up for the game or not. He's struggled recently because he's had 2 players on him in most games. You know, they've recognised what he can do. But Chelsea, they are weak at the back. You know, this is what the Chelsea fans said. They're conceding goals. They're not that strong in defence. So you want your 2 best wingers. And Fatawu, all right, you know, he'll come inside and have a shot on his left foot, trying to, you know, he took 30 odd games practicing and 1 game to do it against Bournemouth. So he might have another go. You've got to have both of them. Because basically they just tear the defences apart. Indeed, look, again, it's purely experience, and he has such an understanding with Fatawu that, you know, if one, you got to have the other guy. Pratt was getting that understanding, but obviously he's injured. Look, Vardy, I was up. You know, you could go. The only one I probably wouldn't have gone for in this game is Daka. although he's got the speed. Cannon, maybe again, not the experience. Look, Kelechi, not in the role you had him. I can see him possibly coming on. He does like an FA Cup game, like Brad said. And I wouldn't, if Kelechi was starting, I wouldn't be sorry. But look, Vardy knows what he's doing. This is the sort of big occasion that Vardy will relish. Absolutely. He will love this occasion. And he will be up for it. And he will be captain. And he will be leading from the front. Like I say, hopefully Enzo's given him the week off. Sunday morning, give him cornflakes with his Red Bull and just send him out to play and say, go on and get us some goals. But guys, pull it to bits. Please do.
Do you want to get your redemption, Luke, or do you want me to fire first? Which one is it?
I actually, just to be fair, I actually like the idea. I remember the Craig mentioning this with the Albrighton role. I don't know if he has the pace.
Pick your favourites, Luke. Say it with your chest.
I'm going to praise it and criticize it at the same time. I do get it with him and his balls going. Just the one thing, I don't know if he has the pace to be able to track back in time, but one thing he does, he runs his socks off and he puts a shift in, has a decent cross. I've got an actual even better question for you. This is going to sound strange. I nearly put Fatawu in that position, to be honest with you, because I thought he was our best defender because he's an attacking player and he's a winger, but he tracks back like fuck. And
I agree with you both. Sorry, carry on.
No. All I was going to say was I seriously came this close to putting Fatawu in that inverted right back position just because of the last few performances of him. I've been more impressed with his defense's work than I have his attacking, which is strange. But at the same time, it's a breath of fresh air. But other than the rest of your squad, mate, I actually can pretty much. This is what I would want nearly borderline, really man for man, exactly. Except
I get what you're saying about Fatawu, and against, I forget who did we play last time out? Hull, wasn't it? He was actually probably our best defender. And both Mavididi and Fatawu, and we said this the other day, they do what Mahrez never did do, and that was track back, get the tackles in, and defence. My only concern, and like I say, I can understand why you thought of that because of his recent performances with Fatawu is, what you're gaining possibly by that, how much are you losing by not having him in that position?
Yeah, that's my concern.
Eunice could come on.
My concern would be that if the fact that he does a good enough defensive job for us and his priority task is a winger, I wouldn't want to restrict him in that. My concern with your team, Chris, and you're going to hate me for it. No, mine's going to get slated as well, so I'm ready for it back. I know Albrighton can play that position, but Chowdhury has had a lot more time in that position this season. He's more frequent. He's more understanding. When Albrighton's come on for Enzo, it's been in his more traditional position, a wing, left or right wing. He's come on there. And I'm not saying that Albrighton couldn't do a job. My biggest concern is your defence is very slow. And I'm not talking slow. I'm talking Cody isn't blessed with pace. Your love child isn't blessed with pace. Albrighton is in his mid-30s, so he's not blessed with pace. They like to play a high line, and as we've seen before, I understand that Faze hasn't had the best of games recently, and I do understand that. But a high line press has been caught out when we've used to play Cody and Vestergaard in a team or something like that, because one's not caught up with the other, and we've got that little bit of a gap, and that's where teams have gotten behind and score. So for me, it's just a little bit lacking in the pace department, but I can see a good case.
I take on board that totally. Look, if Chowdhury was in for Albrighton, I wouldn't cry because I was like that. It was only having spoken to Greg that tipped me, because my original one, I did have Chowdhury in that position. But I was like that. But listening to Craig, I did think he was talking some sense. Yes, it does lack speed. I think Justin's the only speedy defender we've got. But again, I've just gone for the experience.
I mean, I get it. I understand that the experienced heads can outweigh others in that sense. Just for me, if Chelsea do go youth, they've got some quick players, and if they rip through that defense, we need for me, we need a Phase, or we need a Chowdhury or a Justin as the wing backs that get into the middle to kind
He
of
probably
recover.
will be phased, to be honest with you. But I just want to. I just think Cody's experience, but I can't pick Cody over Vestergaard because Vestergaard can just ping the most amazing passes.
Yeah.
Out but look, you know, like I say, I take what you're saying, both of you guys on board there, totally.
Fair play, guys. Here we go. Lucky last, Brad.
Oh, the Diddy's one of the lot. I don't know why mine gets such criticism. Talk about having your favourites. Like mine could be on a big screen like Luke's, but he's made it so small and minimalistic.
You need to crop it, mate. You need to crop it and
I couldn't crop a field of corn, mate, let alone crop a picture. So for those of you that are of a nervous disposition and bad vision, let me make myself look more professional. Let me tell you through my team. First of all, unlike Luke, I've got a goalkeeper. So we've got 11 players on the pitch. I've gone with Stellaci because I do feel that Enzo has that cup keeper mentality. And for me, I'm nervous if he does go with Stellaci because we saw how many times he gets the ball away to Bournemouth players. But I can see it happening. So that was my only Enzo.
Manston does as well in your defense.
Yeah, well, he does, but very much less than Stellaci really did in that one game. In fact, I think he was trying to catch him up in that one game for kickouts. Yeah. And for me, I've gone with Chowdhury as the right back for the exact reason I made with Albrighton. I think if he's going to come on, he's going to come on in like the last 10, 15 minutes to try and pinpoint crosses in. I know he's capable of doing that position, and I wouldn't be disappointed if he did. But for me, Chowdhury goes there because he's been playing there a lot. And I do feel that Justin needs that break. So I have gone Doyle as my left back. I did kind of meh with the option. And again, back four, Justin getting a nod, I wouldn't really surprise. I actually kind of forgot that we got a 2-week break, to be honest with you. I forgot this paint dry international things coming up. Oh, near the end of the season, what a great idea. Except no one ever. My midfield three, for the exact reason I think we've all put him in the squad. Indeed, he's started to get minutes on the pitch. I want to see him get a full 90 minutes. He's going to get 2 weeks working on the training ground to keep that fitness and recovery up as well. Best time to give him 90 minutes, potentially 120. Let's hope not. Let's hope we win it in 90. But we should at least get.
What's he like on penalties?
Pretty good, actually. If you watch the training videos like I do, I'm just saying, training on the
I was asking, mate.
You can smash the penalty down.
Yeah.
This is the conundrum I had. I tried to think, do we go Winks and Dewsbury, Winks and Dewsbury Hall, which I have gone because it's our strongest two midfielders. I 100% agree with Chris on that. But there's a part of me that goes, I know there's an international break now, but do we rest Dewsbury Hall? But now I've put Atkin in, but no, we have to go with them too. So I'm glad I didn't change my mind, and I'm glad I kind of just went with the normal two. A little bit boring sometimes with this Leicester team with how good they can be at times. Wingers, exactly the same. We've got to go full strength. It's got to be Mavididi because if anyone can unlock them on the left. Okay, that was one run, Nate. That was one run in about 40 games and he was able to do that. And that was a lackluster, tired Bournemouth defence because they were knackered. Let's face it, we ripped them to shreds.
We got excited in the crowd. We were singing if Vestergaard scores were on the pitch.
Well, I mean, I was excited for you, Chris. I was good. That would have been goal of the month for me, just for the fact that he ran 90 yards. I'm surprised he didn't keel over once.
That would have been goal of all time for Chris, and he definitely would have smashed to
I would have pooed my pants in the stands.
Well, I'm glad for the cleanness that didn't happen in a way now. And then naturally, I know people are going to say, "Oh look, Brad's got his love child in there," and again, Vardy up for the occasion. I haven't seen a.
I haven't read that, Nate. Where have you seen that?
Yeah, sorry, Brad, to interrupt. You had to pull that up.
No, that's all right. For me, Jamie Vardy is probably better suited.
No, in fact, sorry, Brad. Leicester City press conference live as Enzo Maresca confirms Jamie Vardy injury.
Well, I'm the winner. You guys suck. Take the knee. Because I've gone for the FA Cup specialist. I have gone for the FA Cup specialist. Now, I was thinking before that was confirmed, and it is a shame because I feel Chris was dead right. Imagine the scenes. It's 0-0. It's 80 minutes. The crowd the Chelsea fans are singing Vardy, your wife is a grass. Enzo tells them to warm up. The board comes up. 90th minute. Connor Cody sends a ball over the top. Vardy runs on, smashes it in, gives it all that and that. But that dream's gone. So over to you, Kels. The FA Cup, man. If you want a cup, you know, you say you got a cup goalkeeper in my lineup. We've got a cup striker in my team as well. And the reason I've gone for FaZe is what I said about your team, Chris. I want us to have a bit more pace. Chowdhury isn't blessed with pace, and that's why he focuses more on that defensive side, and we don't see him bombing forward. Doyle does go up and down like JJ does. We've got the sensible head in Cody. We've got the pace merchant in FaZe that can push that ball through the midfield and into Chelsea's half in FaZe. Whether it's on the right side or not, Chris knows I don't know left from the right. Me left and rights are like that to me. How about it, gentlemen? But that is my team. And like I said, if you want to highlight my comment, Chris, Craig, you're not Chris, you're not either. Luke, I'll get there. Take 4. If you put my last comment up, Luke, you'll see.
All of us.
I want to see who everybody else is picking. Just which one's your favourite team? Is it Chris, mine, or goalkeeperless?
Well, I mean, I think in fairness, Luke and myself, well, we're going to have to relook at our team because we did that thinking Vardy was fit.
Okay, yeah. Assuming that you guys, okay, you guys can just name.
What's he done? Because he didn't train. He played. He came off the pitch with 4 minutes to go. He wasn't injured, and now he's injured. I don't get. This is why I've got to say we're probably not going to give the poor lad a new contract.
I just wonder if Chris is maybe he's let his passion turn around and say to Enzo, "No, I'm fine. No, I'm fine." And Enzo's gone, "Okay, I'll play you against Hull, but then we need you for Chelsea," and it's backfired on him. That's it. Because
if I'm dropping Vardy, which I'm going to have to now, I would go for Kells.
Me too.
All right, so yeah, imagine their teams that you saw earlier, guys, with Kelechi as the striker, because I'm the champ. I knew my man was right one for the job. Got nothing to do with being injured.
I'm a Daka fan, but I'm still going for Kells. Because again, look, this is the guy that very coolly slotted a penalty home in the last minute of the Community Shield at Wembley. This is this is the guy who likes, like you say, he is Mr. FA Cup. And if you're not going to have Vardy in there, he's got to go to the front of the queue as Kelechi.
Yeah. This moment's written for him, isn't it? He just loves this competition.
Yeah. And if he does leave us, what a way to go out.
Well, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? It would be a way to do it. But yeah, there's your teams, guys. So yeah, just remember that them guys have to change theirs. But that's a shame because I was looking forward to like a cameo. Like I just pictured the scene that a long ping ball from someone like Vestergaard or Cody just going over the Chelsea defense in the last minute and Vardy pinging onto it. But I suppose it'll have to be Iheanacho now. Sorry, guys, ruining your dream for you.
No, I still at least had him in my starting 11, so just out of position. And, friend. Nate, I appreciate your comments, Nate. No, it's a shame I didn't realize the press conference was at the same time. I would have watched it first and then done this. But nonetheless,
it's not live. It's not live as a video.
No, it's not on YouTube yet at all. They do it live on. Oh, is it?
Go on, Brad.
I was going to say I don't think they pop it up a few hours beforehand. It should be. It's usually up on a Friday. It usually goes up Friday afternoon. So I am a little bit surprised.
It is live on because I think it's because we're playing Sunday. That's why it's a day late. We are on. It's on Leicestershire Live, by the way.
It's normally on there first, isn't it? Because the training ground video went up an hour ago, and it usually goes training ground video press conference. So it's a shame.
This was the time that it was because if you remember last week I was on the BBC.
No, it's plugged in again.
As one does, you know, and it was talking about the press conference for the whole game. And I was saying, like, when is it live? And he said this was the time they went last week, but it wasn't live. I wasn't able to watch it before I went on to talk about it. but I was able to see it on Leicestershire Live. Anyway, there we go.
Why'd you pause before? Is there a ghost in your room?
What?
You went, hang on, Brad, like that for a second. You stopped. I thought there was like a poltergeist in the room.
No, me and Krista did the secret fist bump. We didn't see that.
No, I didn't. I just saw him pause. I'm like, what's going on? Are you all right? Before I get you out, guys, what is your score prediction, Brad?
My heart says Leicester are going to win it 2-1, but my head also says we're going to lose it 2-1. So obviously, I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester, because I'm going to put my neck on the line and say we concede, because we just do. But we'll go through, and then we'll go and get Wolves in the semi-finals, and we'll be halfway to, well, we'll be on our way to Wembley, literally.
Awesome, Brad. I love the positive attitude. How about yourself, Chris?
You've just reminded me I need to put my predictions in as well. Nothing like last minute, is there?
No.
It's all right, mate. If I don't put them in, I won't let the show go out. So I
just remember though, Anthony's already put his in, so you can look at his and make sure you go the same. So go exactly the same.
The opposite to Anthony.
Yeah, if you go exactly the same, he can't overtake you. It's all right.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But then you can. That's the only worry. Look, I'm a bit like Brad. I've got a heart and head prediction. My heart says 2-1 Leicester, like Brad. My head says 3-2 to Chelsea.
I don't think I could take that. I think that sounds like an exciting game.
It does. I had gone 3-1 to Chelsea, but after the guy was saying how bad the Chelsea defence were at the moment, I fancied us nipping a couple. But yeah, look, this is an all Leicester channel. I've got to go with my team. I've got to go 2-1, the same as Brad.
I like it, the Leicester City special. I'm going to go with, I feel like if he does rotate and go with youngsters and we get off to a poor start and we concede, it'll be something similar to the Birmingham game, where it was like when he brought on the big boys, it was almost like, getting a flogging at school and going and telling your big brother and then coming back to avenge you. That's what it looked like when he put JJ and everyone on. But here we go. Thank you. Okay, Brad, I'm doubling down now. Brother, I am going to, with my heart, go for an unusual 4-0 battering of Chelsea.
Oh my God. Can I have a pint of whatever you've had, please?
I literally put in a comment. I meant to put incoming as in Luke predictive. I put big bold prediction 4-0 Foxes. I don't. Why not? Why not, Luke? Fair play to you. That would be hilarious. I would be like a Leeds fan in a Leicester podcast. I'd be straight over the streams, wouldn't you, Chris? If we want.
Honestly, if that was to come true, mate, I'd send. I'm not going to say too much because it would come back and bite me on the bum. But if that happens, I would take the knee to you, sir.
Don't worry, mate. My head's actually going to say the same as you. I can see. In fact, this is going to sound poor, but I'm thinking 3-1. And yeah, Chelsea 3, Leicester City 1. But I'm going to stick with my heart. I'm always going to have blue tinted glasses, and I'm always going to have blind faith in this club, no matter what. I'm just going to get Nate's comment up here. Nate's gone for a draw and advance.
I can't.
I can't deal with penalties.
Don't do this to us.
I'm old. I've got a dicky heart, Nate. Don't do this to me.
What do you reckon, Chris? 1-1, 120th minute. We get Spider Calac to come off the bench, throw him off. That was that.
Go and find him.
He was an Aussie. He was the most memorable Australian goalkeeper we had.
All the joking, we went to AC Milan and played in Europe.
I know. How did that work out? His agent must be a genius.
Shout out to Jin. You're a legend, mate. This is the really, really great player. Played in I believe in the A-League. He was in the youth academy at Borussia Dortmund. He also plays five-a-side of me. He's an absolute legend. How are you, mate? Shame we didn't win tonight. Guys, thank you heaps for coming on. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I think you need to make sure you put a goalkeeper in your next lineup.
Yeah.
But that aside, no.
I wonder if this is why we've not been winning recently.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's been listening to Luke and that's what's going on. No, honestly, make sure that that you subscribe to this channel. Give Luke your support. And yeah, thanks for having us on, mate. It's been good fun talking about it.
Thank you, guys. I've put you both in the title description, your channels. Chris, you want to quickly talk us through this?
Yeah, and just to say, I agree totally with Brad. Give this channel your full support. I mean, he's an Aussie, but look, you know, you got to like the odd Aussie, haven't you? So give him your support, like and subscribe to it, and do the same to LTID TV 2 as well, which is our quiz and our women's channel. And I believe that one of the first quizzes that's going to be done is actually going to feature Luke. So there we go.
It's a race between Luke and Craig. If he's not first, he'll be second on there. We're going to sort that out, aren't we, mate? But yeah, you can definitely find us there. Annoyingly, and kind of, who knows, maybe this is a sign of things to come. The women also play on a Sunday in their FA Cup, but it's a semi-final against Tottenham. Unfortunately, the one time I was hoping to do an FA Cup double header, and they couldn't put us on at the same time because it's going to be on TV. I'm going to watch it.
Typical.
But they are nevertheless both clubs in their respective stages of the FA Cup. So yeah, make sure you support both.
And just to quickly run through this, and thank you very much, Luke, for allowing me to put this up. On LTID TV this Sunday, I'm going to be knackered. Tell you what, roll on Monday. We start at 7:30, and you can hear me on TalkSport, TalkSport 1, on the weekend sports breakfast with the absolutely gorgeous and beautiful Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino, ex-Chelsea. But looking forward to that. The watch along will start, and I will be joined by these two ugly buggers above me at 12 o'clock for the team news and pre-match build-up. We'll have the half-time match review and thoughts, and post-match reaction at about 2:40, obviously subject to extra time and penalties. And then at 7:20 in the evening, catch me on Talk TV with the Sunday Night Club with Mark Saggers, and no doubt I'll be crying into my beer pot by then. So it's a full day on Sunday. Follow us and like us. All the channels, guys. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Sunday's the day of rest, Chris?
Sorry?
They say Sunday's the day of rest.
God, not for all of us, it's not. I mean, if it wasn't for Natalie Sawyer, I wouldn't be getting up at that time in the morning, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and that's before he goes on the show.
Yes, I've got a picture of her on my wall here.
Oh, God, don't tell her that. You won't be allowed back on.
No, I met her recently. She was with Jeff Stelling, you know, when he did his tour.
Oh, yeah, good old Jeff. Oh, man, I cramped up then. That was nice.
Good old Jeff and Nat.
Yeah.
Well, this show's spiraling out of control, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Everyone like and subscribe to all of our channels, and have a good weekend, and hopefully we come away with a win on Sunday.
Brad, give me 5, Brad. Fist bump. There we go. No, keep out, Luke. This is a Brad Chris thing.
Yeah.
Keep out.
So get your own.
See everybody.
See you.
Yeah.